Welcome to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire from Garuda Promo. Today we have Holly Bowyer, CEO and partner for Media Marketing Minds. How are you doing, Holly?
Good, good. All is good. How about you?
I'm doing well, trying to adjust the ever-changing business climate every day.
Yeah, a lot going on out there for sure.
Well,
Never quite sure what's the next step or trying to anticipate what's happening next.
yeah, so glad I have you on today because I know you work with a lot of different businesses, and I want us to focus especially on small businesses, and um, with us not being able to physically go to our office, a lot of us, at least from what I've seen, people have been posting on social media. What are your takes on that? And, are there any tips and advice that you could share?
Yeah, so I'm definitely an advocate of utilizing social media, whether it's business is good or in these sort of situations where business is a bit unknown and definitely tumultuous and challenging times. But I think utilizing social media gives you an opportunity to maintain that awareness, communicate what your business is, maybe where you are right now, what you're doing, and just having that consistent presence is never a bad thing, right? It can always just enhance what you do, who you are, and support your just general business. So I'm definitely an advocate of trying to keep up that consistency. Maybe your message changes a bit, but getting the name of your business out there is never a bad thing.
Mhm. Well, I think what this crisis had taught a lot of business, because if you've been doing it and you've been doing it, with a professional help like you guys would do, then you are better prepared than if I never consider it, or I don't think that's valuable. And now you can't go to work, and you have to basically, a lot of businesses have to go all digital. Then a lot of businesses are scrambling because they haven't had any presence at all on social media, or they don't even have a Google My Business page or a Facebook business page set up. So
Yeah.
how would they pivot? Is it too late, or are there something that they could do?
Yeah, I don't think it's too late, but I also think you have to take a step back and really think through what it is you want to do on social. So if you don't have your Facebook page set up, if you don't have any of those platforms set up, this is time to step back and really think about how am I going to set up those platforms, pull together some photos, pull together your messaging, really do a plan of what you want to do, what you want to communicate, what you want to look like on social, and then execute on that plan. I strongly believe that you need to have a website so that you're promoting and driving people back to that site. So
Hmm.
if you don't have those kind of basic foundation pieces set up, this is a good time to take that step and actually do that and be prepared for that, to get out there into the marketplace. So, and again, I think it's being really clear about what those are. And we strongly believe to put a calendar together, take the first 30 days and say, what am I going to talk about? What are those things that I want to communicate about my product, my
Hmm.
service, my business, who I am, what I can do? And just taking a step back to put that foundation together is really important. And then I think you're ready to go. So for somebody who doesn't have that, this is the time to think about doing that. For somebody who does have that foundation, who has been doing those types of things, who has been present on social, this is also a good time to think about, is my messaging right? Am I communicating the right thing out into the marketplace? I'll give
Hmm.
you a good example. We actually work with a chamber here in Southern California that really supports businesses. And they completely changed their messaging, right, to talk about businesses that are open, promoting businesses that may not be open, but get
Hmm.
ready for when they are. So they just took a complete refresh of their messaging out into the marketplace since nobody was going. And so that was a good thing for them to do,
Yeah.
right? So it just depends on where you are and what you need to communicate, and how you want to proceed.
Yeah, I think this, took a lot of people by surprise. They probably a lot of them were thinking about it, but then they're slowly implementing it. But right now, just stop. You have to just go all digital, and a lot of people just, couldn't catch on real quick. But like you said, if you have a plan, so you don't overwhelm yourself. You spread it
Yeah.
out to 30 days, and you don't have to put everything all together within a day. So that's drive people crazy.
Another thing is, I know we're talking about social media, but I also think just general communication with your client base is a good thing, right?
Mhm.
So if you have an email list, communicate to your customers what you're doing, where you are, acknowledge what they may be going through. Just communication right now, I think everybody is yearning for it, and we've seen it. I've seen so many emails, come through of people who I haven't really heard from a while, in a
Yeah.
while. But they're putting that email together just to say, hey, here's what's going on in my business. How are you?
Mhm.
And if you don't have an email list, this is a great time, again, to set up that foundation. Go out and get an email platform, start to build that list and maintain that list. If you do have a list, use it, communicate. Again, think about what you want to talk about, put a couple of, pieces of content together to then communicate out, because the idea is to remain present, to always make sure people are aware of you. And just because we're in this crazy time doesn't mean that you don't want people to know who you are. So take advantage almost of,
Mhm.
of the time to do that communication. It's important.
It's interesting you said that because I just dug up all my email list and I went through, the client list that we have. I think people, most of us been sitting at our home office for over 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
People getting to the turning point that they would really love to talk to someone. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, we reach out to a lot of my old contact. Some of them have big offices. They have gatekeepers, secretary who filter their email. But right now, when I email them, they respond right away themselves.
Yeah.
So they're actually great time to rebuild the relationship, and a lot of people don't have their big offices, and they actually wanted to talk to someone, talk to a human
Mm-hmm.
being. And I think 2 weeks ago we don't use Zoom at all for my client. Right
Right.
now, it's just the new norm. People don't mind, to see, a person's face, and they could, pick up visual cues. So I think the way that, we're going to do business from now on has changed. Before, people demand that I go to see them face to face, but I could see that in the future. It's just a quick Zoom call. I could show them what I can show them in person, and it works for me because I don't have to stuck in traffic. So there's different ways to look at the same situation.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a phrase a couple days ago in some sort of communication. I think I was watching even a video, and a woman talked about take the time to regroup, rethink, and reinvent. And I think you're talking about some of that, is that maybe the way we move forward with business is a little different than what we've done before. But I will say, I strongly believe that communication, connection, and relationship are going to be the foundation of that, no matter how you decide to reinvent.
Mm.
But taking some time to rethink or regroup about how you want to approach your business, what that message looks like, the kinds of marketing tactics and vehicles you want to use, it's a good thing, right? It's a good
Mm.
thing to just take that step back. But that communication and that relationship that you have with your customers will always be important. So,
Yeah, plus I do a lot of networking, so I know the type of essential professional that a lot of people are looking for. So I'm trying to be very useful around my client base. So if they in need for something that I could provide, or point them to someone that I know who could help, now is a good time, to build a relationship. So
yeah.
our goal is to that we provide value and support for our clients. So when we get through this, then they're going to remember what you did, and this is something that couldn't be easily break away.
Right, right. No, I think you're exactly right, that continuing that relationship and that communication, you will be the first of mind. You will be top of mind when business starts to come back. you want them to remember you. You want them to remember that conversation. You want them to remember, whether it's something you put in an email, something you had on a conversation that you had, or something you put on social media. Rising to the top and having them remember you for what you do is exactly the right approach.
So in your view, what, like for right now, so because we've been bombarded with a lot of email from supplier, from client, from people all everywhere. So what
Yeah.
is the recommendation for good communication for your business?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think it's still talking about who you are, what you do, the value that you bring, the benefits that you provide. And even if, to me, those are always the four things that come up to the top,
Mhm.
right? Those aren't probably going to change unless you're completely changing your business model, which generally that's not going to happen. But who you are, what you do, what are the benefits that you provide, and how can people use your service? And I think being very consistent in that communication is going to be is important. So just consistently putting that out into the market and telling people where you are, to me, is good communication.
Okay. So you're saying, still be true to who you are, but should we consider refining our messages, based on the current situation, or like what would be, something, because for example, a lot of restaurants,
Yeah.
brick and mortar, and they're not able to open physically, but then they could still provide maybe takeout service, or maybe there are some new options that they have available to their
Yeah.
customer. Like they just definitely let people know that, those are what those options are, right?
Yeah, definitely. To me, that's like not only, who you are, what you do, what service you provide. So that service you provide or that product that you have, that may be a little different in terms of how you deliver it, what you're promoting. So I have a favorite Mexican restaurant here in Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give them a shout out. It's Mahari, right?
Uh-huh.
Gone for many, many years where we go all the time. They have great margaritas. We've got certain things that we eat. And I've seen them on social media, on Nextdoor, on a couple of different platforms, talking about the fact that they have takeout. They don't have delivery, but they have takeout. And you can come in, you can actually pick up your favorite margarita now. So
Wow.
that never happened before, right? You always had to drink. You had to drink in. Now you can pick it up. But they've changed how they're, talking about their service. But it's still the same Maharis. It's still the same food. It's still the same quality. It's still that same personality. So being able to continue communicating that, I think is, important. But they have changed their service because they had to. But again, it's increasing that awareness. It's letting people know and utilizing social, utilizing all the different tools and communication vehicles that are at their disposal. They're using those to do that, to maintain as much as the business as they possibly can. And I think there's many others outside of restaurants. Legal services is another one.
Mm-hmm.
People still need legal services. People may still need healthcare, chiropractic services, whatever it may be. There's a way to communicate what that service is that you're offering.
Yeah, I like one good example would be a CPA, the CPA firm that we use. They are providing a lot of value because I looked at all the rules and all the laws that being passed. Like, what does that mean? And my CPA been sending out a lot of useful email to explain it. And then obviously, I think it's smart about it. If you have any question, you can always call us.
Yes.
That's a perfect way to lead on to, they are still in business, they might be working from home, but obviously now it's, we need to rely on them more than ever. There's so many, and then they're promoting a business while creating a value to, client like us.
Right. No, I think that's true. And it goes back to that communication, that relationship, the availability to be, there to answer those questions, to continue to build that relationship. I think you still come back to those basics that you just want to do in your business.
Okay. So let's talk about the future. I know you work with a lot of, smart marketing agencies, and you've been, working with some big marketing campaign too. So for small business, how should they plan and market themselves? And, are there any strategically things that we can do. So when we do get out, then they could come ahead. Like any advice that you can share?
Yeah, so some of them we've already talked about, right? I think taking this time to plan for the future is like, take the time, use it to your advantage. So we've talked about some of that. What's your social media platform? Are you ready to utilize all that foundation that you've built? So I think just preparing and making sure you're utilizing social media appropriately. Think continuing to build your email list. And if you don't have that email list, setting up that foundation so that you can use that email list. One thing I will say is that email list is always yours. That is a tremendous asset to any business to be able to communicate appropriately. It's different than social media. It's your list. You own that, and building that is an asset that you'll never regret having. So I think setting that foundation is important. The other thing we didn't really talk about is pricing, right? Even in this world now, what kind of incentives, what kind of promotions, what kind of discounts can you offer now? But also I think that's in the future. As people start to come back to business, how are you going to make sure that it's beneficial to them? Are there some pricing, promotions that you want to put together? So I think that's also planning for the future. One other one we didn't talk about was maybe you do a video, right? A lot of people have shied away from video, but in today's world, you can put your iPhone up on a tripod, put it up on, the windowsill, look at it, and be authentic and personal.
Well, that's why I'm putting myself out there.
Yeah, so this is perfect. I think it's great. Like, don't shy away from some of those things. I go back to that, regroup, rethink, reinvent, do something a little different. So if you haven't done a video, set up your iPhone and just talk about who you are, what you do, what you offer, and be able to put that on your site. Utilize that for social media. So when we talk about planning for the future, it's all of those things. It's communication, it's social, it's setting up all the right foundation. And I think we all have a tremendous amount of hope and optimism that this will change, right? We will get through this. And at the other end, take this time to be able to be prepared to move forward with gusto.
Yeah, I think, you hit on a lot of good point. And, as a salesperson, what I normally will put myself thinking through is like, who are my target audience? Where are they going to be? Like right now, it's pretty simple. They probably go online, they go to social media, like you suggest, or they will hope for a good email come from their client, or to bring them business. So I know that a lot of business people are glued to social media and they glue to email. They're hoping the phone to ring right now. So those are the key things that you could reach out right now. So I think from the experience that we have developed, in our business, knowing how to talk to people, how to give a good pitch, and how to properly communicate on phones. Now is a good time, to use those experience. You have learned it. The war is not going away, and then you can still use your expertise. That a lot of people really trying to learn what you know, and something like that. You could definitely put on a video on YouTube. You could type in, search for learn anything. Basically there will be an expert on that. That expert might not be the best person to do it, but then they are out there. So they were made to be an expert because people will just know their name, even if you are the best in what you do. But if no one knows about you, then you're not the expert. It's someone who consistently showing in front of their target audience will be the expert.
That's right. That's right. And I think, we've started to see a lot of impact on doing video. Even this, right? I think, with Zoom and with all of the technology that people are using to communicate, video is going to be more and more important. And it's the way that the younger generation looks at everything, learns everything, and putting together a little series of videos of who you are and what you do is going to help you in that foundation and give you some of that content that you can share with your current and prospective clients. So, utilizing video is definitely the way to go as one of the vehicles.
Okay, Holly, thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah,
If you don't mind, I'll include your information in all the posts. So
sure.
if any viewer wanted to reach out and talk to you about the specific needs, they could feel free to reach out to Holly.
That sounds good. Thank
Okay,
you, Wire. Appreciate it.
thank you so
All
much.
right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.